or unnecessary child renderings are happening to stop child component to render every time to stop child every time parent component renders renders we can use we can use react dot memo react dot memo react dot memo. Now what is this react dot memo? React dot memo is a higher order component which takes child component and re-render child only if its props changes. Abhijit is asking, please explain the theme code change. Don't worry, when we do it like Redux code, I will put it like a project. In that project, I will put the theme change. Abhijit, I will put a project with the theme change in the Redux code. Don't worry. So now how it will work, sir? Now paint. Let me show it to you. Imagine one component is there. One component is there like app.jsx. If app.jsx, inside the app.jsx, there is one function called log. Inside this function, what you will write? You will write it here console.log hello world. I just write it here const console.log hello world. Now, what this function will do, sir? If I call this function, what will happen? Now, see here, I am just calling this function. Now, if I do this, what will happen, sir? Hello world. Imagine in my app.jsx, there is one button plus and there is one value 0. Imagine there is one button plus and there is a value 0. If I click the plus button, 0 will increment to 1. 0 will increment to 1. I think everyone knows it. When 0 becomes 1, it will re-render your component, right or not? It will re-render your component. What does it mean by re-rendering? Is re-rendering means it will just load your component, but it will load only the changed parts. What part is changed? 0 is changed to 1. Only it should go with 0, 1. Na? But you know what is the problem? It will run that log function one more time. और एक बार hello world print करता. If I do 1 to 2, One value will change it to what 2. But it will do one more time log also na. It will print log value one more time na. Are you getting my point, ma? Every time your component re-renders, it will call that particular function because you called that function one time. So it will unnecessarily have the problem. I don't want that hello world to call one more time and all. I want that hello world call one time, and whenever I change 0 to 1, 0 to 1 change karo. Aur why you are calling that function one more time? Right or not? It will create problem, performance issue aata. Now, how do you solve this problem? To solve this problem, to solve this problem, what we do is instead of directly writing this function, we will write it here something called use effects. Sorry, use callback. Inside the use callback, we will write it here one empty array and now if you take this, then if you do like this, now where is that log function? Inside the callback. Now, if you re-render it, if you re-render it, it will not call this call function. It will not call the log. It will call only the first day. On every re-render, it will not call. Why? That is what the function caching. The use callback will do this, right? But there is one problem. The problem is, imagine it's like a use effect, similar. The only difference is use effect will be called first time, but use effect is used for any asynchronous operations. Okay, but use callback is used for caching these functions. But there is one problem. Problem is, what if, sir, you send this function to some child component? There is another component, child.jsx. Now inside this child component, I am printing here hi. I am printing here I, and I'm writing here child component. I will write it here child. Now see here, everyone. Use effect is not used for this. Someone is thinking it like why every time. Sir, every time it's called by default. No. Understand it. Understand it. Use effect and use this. The difference is use effect is used for the asynchronous operations. For like fetch API and all. Okay. But use callback is not for that. If I used use callback, first time when it called use callback, first time if you call that particular function, it will be called. Here I am calling this. Can you see this here? I am calling this. For use effect, you don't need to call anything. Did you call use effect ma anytime? No, use effect automatically call karta. Automatically, that's why you use fetch na inside the call use callback. Online, did you get my point, sir? Online, did you get my point? To the people online, Shanur Said or someone who is getting confused, use effect will be called automatically. You don't need to trigger it. The moment component did mount, it will trigger. But use callback aisa nahi. Use callback will be you call you write one function, call one function, simple. But when I call it, it's calling it multiple times every re-rendering. तो वो प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करने का वो मल्टीपल रीरेंडरिंग का फंक्शन कॉल सॉल्व करने का यूज कॉल बैक आ गया. Imagine child component is there. Now see, inside the child component, what I'm printing? Everyone see, inside the child, what is there? Hi. Now if inside the child, hi is there, inside the child, hi is there. Now whenever you call this particular child component, Every time you are re-rendering, I also will print because child component will re-render one more time. You don't want child component also re-render na? To stop unnecessary child re-renderings, you will use react.memo. What you will use? React.memo. React.memo is used for unnecessary child re-renderings. Use callback is used for unnecessary function re-renderings. Okay, that is for use callback is for the function. React.memo is for the unnecessary child component re-renderings. There is a third one, which is most important. Now after this, next hook, next hook. Use memo, use memo. Use memo is similar. Use memo is similar to use callback, but use callback is used to cache the functions and use memo is used to cache the values values. Now same logic you will do. Imagine 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 an application does expensive calculation. Expensive calculation means which will take more time. Expensive calculation and found the answer. And what if what if user requested same calculation same calculation same calculation again? Someone is asking inside the functions values are also there. Why use memo? Use memo is not for the inside the value. No, use memo is for the whatever function returns. Functions will return some values na. That value store karne ka use memo. Like for example, go here. I will use Amazon. Amazon. In Amazon, I just go here something smartphones. When I click here smartphones, do you know what happened? Here smartphones printed. Now everyone see this. I click here Samsung. Now only Samsung phones will come na. So to bring smart Samsung phones, it will take some time. It will do some calculation, right or not? It will do some calculation na. All the filterings it will be done na. Now if I go here again, it will do it like again Samsung only. Again I want Samsungs. Now again it will do calculation na. I want it like only $0 to $100 or $120. Now only 0 to 120 is coming. I'm clicking one more time button. 0 to 120. Again clicking. Can you see? I'm clicking go 10 times. Is it going anywhere? I'm clicking again and again go. It is not going anywhere. It is not loading anything. It is not doing anything. Why? Did you get my point? One more time. See here. 0 to 100. Dekho. Go. Now it printed only $0 to $100 thing, na? All the phones $0 to $100 it is coming. But if I click here one more time, go, it should bring 0 to 100 again, na? And it is not loading anything. Why? Imagine if your program loads one more time, that is wrong. This is only correct, na? Your program should not load now one more time. Why? Because that guy asked just now only electronics. Again he clicked electronics only. Why to go one more time? Electronics ही है ना उधर. If that guy showed it with triple R movie only there. Again you search for triple R movie, it should not go na. Are you getting my point, sir? We did one movie search app also. In movie search app, we did something like one bar is there. In that, if I searched it any movie, I will get that movie. You did a OMDB API. You remembered, ma? Now, imagine I searched for Titanic. I got the Titanic movie. Nice. Again, I searched for Titanic. Will it again go to server? It should not go to server, na? So when you do one function, whatever the values you are getting, I wanted to store this returned values. To store this returned values, you will use memo. यूज कॉल बैक अलग है. यूज कॉल बैक बोले तो क्लिक करे दिस, गो क्लिक करे तो एक फंक्शन करता है ना, वो पूरा फंक्शन यूज कॉल बैक करता. So you can use it, use callback or use memo, anyone, it would be run. But what if one function is not returning any value? For example, in earlier example, this function is not returning any value. This function is not returning anything, just printing in console. So you can't use memo, because use memo will store the values which are returned. When you do filtering, you got one answer, na? Right or not? That array is coming, na? Filtered array. That is use memo. You can't use memo for this, because use memo will memorize the value. 5 plus 3, 8. Again, if I ask 5 plus 3, you will say it immediately, na? Does any one of you know here what is 12 lines are? 108. Very good. 12 lines are 108. Imagine if I ask you one more time now, what is 12 lines are? You will say immediately, na? This time will you calculate? This time you will not calculate, because you have the answer. And that is use memo. You use your memory, simple. वो वैल्यू earlier 12 lines are calculate कर दिया, एक वैल्यू रिटर्न कर दिया, वो रिटर्न वैल्यू स्टोर कर दिया. Now when I ask you 12 lines are same question, so it's same answer, no need to think. Online, are you getting my point, ma? Online, are you getting my points? Online, is it clear? Are you getting my points? Now let's create it here, some hook which we did yesterday. Code hooks demo. Now inside the src, inside the components, I'm creating one more component. How long it can hold? It can hold until you release it. It will hold it like lifetime, simple. Like same like in your memory, it will hold it the whole values. It will be there only. It's not like any memory will be there for that. It will just store it in a cache, temporary memory only, na? Okay. Now here use hook. And interesting point is this use memo, this use callback are the performance hook. These two are not used for any use except the performance of the application. For example, use state, it's a mandatory one. Use effect, mandatory one. Use context, mandatory one for context API. Use ref, mandatory one for uncontrolled components. But these two are not the mandatory ones. If you don't use callback, use memo also, your functions will run. But to increase your performance, for example, if you say 12 lines are 2 times you will calculate, kuch nahi hota. Okay. But instead, you can remember that performance, you can increase it using this use callback or use memo. Is it clear, ma? Now, let's go here, function RFCE. inside this, I will just put here one simple function. Const result equals to const result equals to 12 into or n. If I do this, if I do this, console.log function called function called and I will write it here for loop. Do you all know for loop, ma? I think you know that for I is equals to 0, I less than or equals to n, I plus plus, and you will store it here. Let x equals to 5, let x equals to 0 initially. Huh? Let x, you don't need any value. No need of x. Return I will store I into I value initially 1. 1. First time it will multiply 1 into 1, 2 into 1, 3 into 2 into 1. I asterisk equals to k equals to 1. I'm just doing factorization. Do you know factorization? Right. K asterisk K asterisk I here. Now let's run this logic. Hmm, what is this, Ray? For loop is correct only, na? Either comma. Now देखो initially k value 1 ray. Imagine I gave 5, n value 5. So 1 into I value also 1. 1 into 1, k value 1. Next I value will become 2, right? 1 into 2, k value 2. Then I value will become 3. 2 into 3, k value will become 6. Then 6 into I value is 4. 6 fours are 24. K value 24. Then 24 into I value 5. Then 24 fives are 120. Then I value cannot be 6. I value is last like last value is n. So it will get 120. 120 is k value. So k value I should return. So answer this is the factorial logic. You know that factorial logic, right? Online, does everyone knows it like the factorial logic, ma? Someone is asking what is const there at the declaration of function. Hey, it's a constant value, right? Simple. It's like you can write a normal function. If anyone don't know, you can write it the same thing. Instead of arrow function, you can write it as a normal function also. It will work. You can write it as function fun. Fact. So there is one factorial logic. What this factorial will logic? If you give 10, it will give 10 in 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into until 10. It's a simple logic. Now I will put one button. Button 5. If I click this, if I do here on click, it will call the fact with the 5. What is the answer it will print? What is the answer it will print here? If I print it here k value console.log k value, it should print it here k value 120. Is it clear, ma? Now go here. How to run this? Go to terminal, new terminal. Go to cd code cd hooks demo npm run dev. Go here, right click, inspect console. Now if I click here, why this one is coming? Because I clicked here use memo, but I did not use it in app.jsx. I should write it in app.jsx now. This one. Go here, write it here app.jsx. Hook, use memo. Then use memo it will come. K is not defined. Go here. Let var कुछ नहीं होता. Go here. Sir, on click listener to be a function instead of got a value. On click I directly called na, that is wrong. Instead I should call like this. Now here no problem. If I call this 5, it is calling 120 na. If I called 5, it's calling one more time 120 na. Now how to solve this? Every time I'm calling it is giving 120. So I can solve this using some logic like keep it this here, this whole thing inside use memo. Use memo. Now use memo also will take it here two things. Depends on the values. You can change the values. If you want to give any state value, you can give a state value. That means use memo, it will memorize the values only if you change that particular values. Here I can give value for n. If I give value for n, for example, if I give value for n as something like 20, something kind of one, that state value I have to give. Here there is no state variable, so I just give it here normally. I can give here const x. Whatever the k value will be stored as x. Now go here. Fact is not defined. Now go here. X. Why it is not calling it? I will just show you in the React thing only. Usually used for the calculations. Why this one is not working? Now see here. React memo will also use the same thing, sir. It will take it here one hook called use memo. Inside that use memo, it will have something called calculated value. Here I am calculating the value. I am returning one function. Here I will put one dependencies. Whenever this dependencies changes, then only it will recalculate. Else it will never recalculate. It will store that particular value into this calculated value. Okay. Now it is mainly used for skipping the it is mainly used for skipping the expensive calculations. In this example, see here, they are just doing some kind of use memo. See here, use memo, usually used for filterings. Just now you see it some kind of filterings in the Amazon, na? How it will work like this only in the Amazon filterings. Now see here, they just did filters, filter to do. They called one function filter to do's. Only if the to do's changed, only if the values changed. If the price is same, it will not call. If the price is changed, only it will call that filter to do's. If the price is, if to do's are changed, if tab is changed, then only it will do this. Else it will not change. Are you getting my point, sir? So use memo will take it here one callback function and will take it here some dependencies. When this particular dependencies values changes, it will call else it will return the same values. It will not call that particular function. That is the use of use memo. People use memo for mostly filterings or calculations. Okay. Now in this one, why it's not working? I have to check it. Usually it should work. You don't need to write it fact name. Now here use memo. Now if I go here, is it working now? Console.log x. No, it's not printing it. It's printing something one. It's like true or false kind of thing. Why it is returning the one here? Instead of taking n as a normal value, if I take a state variable, it will change something. We'll see. Anyway, when we create our main project, I will use it for filter. At that time, it will be done. Like we will use it for filters only mostly. Now, understand this logic, ma. People in interview, they will ask you this question. What is the difference between use memo and use callback? Use memo is for memorizing the values. Memorizing the values. Use callback is used for memorizing the functions. Okay. React.memo is used for memorizing the components. Okay. These three things are used for performance only. Okay. These three things are important when it comes to the performance. Next. Sir, what if I wanted to create my own hook? What if I wanted to create my own hook? Last but not least, in the hooks one, custom hooks. You will create it your own hooks also called custom hooks. Custom hooks. Custom hooks means we can create we can create our own hooks, our own hooks similar to functional components, functional components, but but hook name hook name should start with should start with use. Use. Hook name should start with use, and hooks must return some values. Return some values. Hooks must return some values. We can use default hooks, default hooks in creation of custom hooks. While creating the custom hook, you can use the default hooks. Let's create it, sir, a simple custom hook. Now, let's go here. Let's go here, hooks demo, components. I'm creating one hook, something like use API logic. Usually people will create these things, API logic. Instead of writing it every time, people will create it something API logics. I'm creating one hook which is use API logic. In this hook one, what we do is we will just write it like a functional component only. Now, someone will give you don't need to return here any kind of thing. Hooks are like a functions. Hooks are not components. Hooks are the direct functions. Now here I will write it here URL. Sir, normally did you remember how the API you will deal? Normally, did you all remember how the API will be dealt, ma? Someone will give you API, some give you link, you will write it fetch, then, then every time you will write it this all logic. You have to put this in use effect and store this value into something use state, and then the use that values. Instead of doing this, instead of doing this, what if you created one function which will do all of this thing, and next onwards you give the link, automatically you get the data. Simple. Are you getting my point, sir? Now, this function I will do the all logic. If I give this function input one URL, this function I will write it here import use state, use effect, and I will create it here const data, const data. You don't need to export and all. It's a function. It's not a component. Understand it. I write it inside the components, but people should write it outside the components. Like it's not a component actually. I'm writing here const data, set data equals to use data, sorry, use state. Initially, I have empty. Initially, I gave an empty array. Online, is it clear, ma? Online, is it clear? Now, I am writing here one logic, use effect. Inside this logic, I am writing the same logic. Online, are you all there? Did you all remember how to use the API, ma? Same logic I'm doing it. I will go here URL dot then if something response I got, give this response. Roshni, is it clear, ma? Online, is it clear, everyone? How I am creating the thing? It hooks are like the functions. Hooks are like the functions. I created one function. What is the function name? Use API logic. Always your hook's name starts with use. Starts with use. Now I take it here one URL and I'm taking here response. I converted this response into JSON. This is how you will do. Every API you will do same load. Every time API same code. I am like, why every time writing the same code? I can just make it a kind of logic. Then data, whatever the data I will get it here, I will write it here, set data as data. Now whatever the data I got it, I stored it inside the main data na? Right or not? Whatever the answer I got, that answer I stored it into the main data, sir. Now, not only that, sir. Not only that. I used it catch. I will create it one more thing. Const errors, errors, comma, set errors, set errors equals to use state. Initially errors are empty. Now here I will write dot catch. Online is internet is clear. Screen freezed. Online is internet is clear ma. Dot catch error console.log. For some people it's clear, I think then. Error. No, instead of console.log error, I will write set errors. हो गया. Sir, what you did? I just did fetch. I just did fetch. Whatever the answer I got, I just did the fetch. Whatever the answer I got, that answer I stored it. That answer, whatever I got it, I stored it inside the data and errors. Data and errors. And I will use some variable also here. The variable here, I think if you remember, use effect will take two things. One is callback function. One is callback function. Another one is dependency. I'm giving dependency as URL. If URL changes, call it one more time. If URL changes, call it one more time. Else no need. Now go here. I just did fetch with this logic. Now finally, what were the answers here? Data and errors, na? I'm just returning it here. Return data, comma, errors. See my function, everyone. What my function will do? Your function will call, your function will take one parameter URL and it will call the API of that URL. It will get the data. The data it is storing in data. If errors comes, it will store it in the errors. And both the things it is returning. Right or not? Now it is using the name use and it is returning some values. So it is a hook only. They call it hook. Now if I go to my program, sir, in my program, if I write it here, any logic, if I go here, import use API logic, export default use API logic. And if I write it here, import use API logic, I will use this API logic and I'm writing it here const data, comma, errors equals to use API logic. And I will write it here https fakestoreapi.com fakestoreapi.com/products. Now everyone see what will happen. It will go to fakestoreapi.com. It will go to the products It will take all the data and it will give me answer data and errors. Do I need to write it any use effect here? No. Do I need to write it any fetch here? No. I don't need to write fetch. I don't need to write it any kind of, dot then dot catch kuch bhi. Because already I created one hook. Now in my program, if 10 pages are there, in every page, wherever I want to use API, I will use my hook. I have my own hook now. What are errors? Because see, I'm returning two values. Can you dekho? See here, function is returning two values. What is it returning? Data and errors. Function is returning two values, data and errors. That only it is taking. Is it clear, ma? Now you guys must have understood how did they route it use state. If you see use state now, use state is also one function. They write the logic. In that logic, they are giving one value. They are changing that particular updated value every time. You can create it any hook. For example, React hook form people created one hook for the use form. How did they managing it? Because same thing, whatever the input, you can do it your own hook. Online, are you all getting my point, ma? I will create a simple hook. Created one hook. Use Prasad dot JSX function. Use Prasad export default use Prasad. So what this use Prasad hook will do, sir? Very simple. Use Prasad hook will take one string. Use Prasad will take it one string and it will return string dot uppercase. Now, if I give inside that use Prasad any value, what it will return? Prasad in uppercase, na? So any kind of sorry, whatever string you gave, string in uppercase, na? Now go here. Now I will go here, sir. Very simple. In the app, import use Prasad. Now I will write it here. Const x equals to use Prasad Raj. Anyone bolo what is x value? X value is Raj in capital letters. That's it, na? That is only hook bole to. Hook is that much simple. It's nothing but one custom function created. But sir, this is very simple logic. Anyone can create it. You don't need to call it as hook also. It's a normal function. But instead of this, imagine I'm doing some kind of state logic here. I'm doing some kind of context logic here. I'm doing some kind of reference logic here. Then we call it as hook nicely. Online, are you getting my point, ma? Online, are you getting my point? In interview, if they come to ask questions on the hooks, someone is asking again, explain use prasada. Huh? Use prasad is one hook which is taking one string, converting the string to uppercase. For example, let me make it this logic. What it will return, Ray? Length. Now, bolo anyone, what is the answer of x? 3. Correct. Correct only. 3. That is the logic, na? Simple. Online, any doubts, ma? Now? Online, is it clear now? So in interview, they will mainly they will ask you the questions on hooks. In the hooks, they will ask you hooks on what is use state, what is use effect, what is use context, use context. Sir, any can we take the for that? Yeah, you can take it any value. It depends on whatever it's like a normal function. You can however you use normal function. What is difference between normal function and hooks? Normal functions can write any name. Hooks should start with use. Normal functions may return, may not return. Hooks must return. These two are the rules. Now, use context, use ref, difference between use memo and use callback. And last but not least, they will ask you how to create your own custom hooks. Custom hooks bole to your own hooks, how to create it. We have only one topic which is left for our React journey, which is Redux. In interview, they will ask you Redux kya hai, Redux toolkit kya hai, and all. Okay. Someone is like hooks are basically components having function which return some value or an object. Hooks are not at all components. Components returns the UI. Is hook is returning any HTML? Hook will never return HTML. Hook will return some values. Hooks are functions, not components. Components return JSX. Hooks will never return JSX. Is it clear ma online, Ramchandra? Now, good. Sir, we have something called Redux. We will build Redux 1. While using the Redux 1, we will build it something good. Tomorrow, we will have doubt clearing session. If possible, I will build it a simple application using some Gemini AI. Someone said it. I will show you some libraries. Like today, someone used something GSAP, na? That looks interesting. I will also created some animated one. Try it. But any website you see in React, any website except Redux, you can do anything now. Sir, how to check a nice project? There is one website. There is one website for React called reactjsexample.com. I think I told you this website earlier also. reactjsexample.com. In this, so many projects will be there. reactjsexample.com. You can learn so many projects in this one. If I go to this site, sir, for example, I wanted to see some kind of site on mm, which we can give kind of movies. Someone said, okay, let me go here. Sir, Axios for HTTP request is left. Axios is like API, simple. You can do it. Axios is a third party library. Okay, tomorrow we will do Gemini. Na? In Gemini, I will use Axios only then. See, someone created one app. So then a straightforward AI movies app created with React. Okay, I will go here. I will just see here what they used it. Okay, now I will just go here, go to the demo. First, I will open the demo, how the website is looking. See, this is how the website is looking. It is showing all the movies details. Okay, so many movies are there. Can I search for any movie? Let me search it here. Triple R. No, it is coming something, something, I'm sure. Okay. And the post-apocalyptic heist. Okay, they are giving based on tags also. Nice. And now after seeing the demo, now you are like how to build this. How to do this? Now go to GitHub. They gave me GitHub link. Now I will go here and I will check it like how they did. They did it in last year. This is a Next.js project. They did it something called Next.js. Okay, we will see that. Don't worry. Go to the code app. Inside that they put it. Usually they have something page.tx and layout.tx. So they did Next.js. You can leave that. Anything with just React, you can use that. Movies shop thread system using React. What they used it. Go here, go here, go here. Node.js, HTML, MySQL, React. That this one is a solid one. You can use it. Sir, we can use async in any project. Async is like the same thing. Instead of using dot then to the people who don't know, here I created something. Use API logic na. Here I used this. You all know this na. Instead of writing this, people will write it here. Await keyword. Await const res. Same logic. Instead of writing like this, people will use await keyword. Instead of promises, direct promises, people will write await keyword and you will put async keyword. Const data. Const data. Then you can do set data. Async. This is actually called as why it is resist error, comma expected. Now this is actually called whatever you are writing this one. This is async await. People will call it. Both are same basically. You can use it promises or the async await. Both are same. You can try this one also. It will work. It's up to you. Await spelling wrong. But sir, how do you get it? Cache error. Here errors are not coming. If you want cache errors, async await, what the people will do? Try catch blocks. They put it in try block this. They put it in catch block errors. Cache errors. Set errors. Error. Now code is exactly same. It will not ever change. This is called async await. Async await is a modern way of writing promises. Instead of using dot then dot catch, they will use async await. It's a modern way of writing. Anyway, tomorrow when we do API, I will do AI. I will do this only. And also tomorrow evening we have a session workshop at 4 o'clock. If you are free, you can watch it. We will discuss something called API, something not AI, creating your own chatbot. Okay. Yeah. Online. Sir, is authentication and validation in React both are same? No. Authentication bole to it will check whether you are correct or not. For example, I give email ID a@a.com. I give password 1234567 8. Now you have some rules. Password should be minimum 6 characters. Gmail should have @gmail.com. Like that. These are validations. What are they called? Validation. Imagine my all validations are correct. After submitting it validations, then it will go to backend. After going to backend, it will check it either a@a.com is there or not. Whether 12345 is correct password or not. In database, it will check na. That is called authentication. दोनों सेम नहीं है. Authentication बोले तो वो backend में database में check करना है. Okay. But this one is not. Someone is like morning. No, no one will take morning 4 o'clock, right? It's like tomorrow evening 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Because we are having 4, 5 of PM. I don't know, but just 4 to 6, I think. It's like not 6 kind of one. 4 means it will start by 4:10, 4:15 kind of thing. Mostly done with 5:30 something kind of one. Sir, tomorrow 9 to 10 continue the class. 9 to 11. Yeah, we will do tomorrow morning only. We will do our own chatbot. Kuch nahi hota. We will do that AI project also. We will have doubt clearing session also tomorrow, Saturday only. Okay. But in case if anyone wants, you can also try that. That's what I'm telling. Someone is like, can you tell the screening test? Screening test you have? When? At what time? Tomorrow 9 o'clock class is there. Tomorrow morning 9 o'clock exam is there. 19th March. Oh, 19th March bole to so much days is there. Good. So I expect everyone to do that trick. 404 page also I will try it tomorrow. I expect everyone to try that. Whatever the screening test is there. This batch can try it and get it a good score also. Use context similar, not same. Use callback for functions, use memo is for values. Huh. Both are similar. Now, debugging React tool. Yeah, we'll discuss debugging React tool. Okay. Next week is for completely Redux or big projects. Then next week we will have our main project. In 2 weeks, your course will be completed. Okay. That's it for today. Thank you all, ma. Online.